You know that feeling when your whole life is about to go to hell in a second? Yeah, that was me. Standing at the altar, smiling like an idiot, while my past was walking through the church doors. Jake, focus, Sarah whispered beside me, her hand squeezing mine. I should have been listening to the vows, to the priest, to literally anything else but the sound of my own pulse hammering in my ears. Because when I looked up, I saw her. Emily. I hadn't seen her in years. And she wasn't alone. A little boy, no older than 5, clung to her hand. He had dark curls, wide brown eyes, and no way. Whispers rippled through the guests. My best man, Kevin, shifted uncomfortably. Sarah's father scowled, already hating whatever was about to happen. And Sarah, she followed my gaze, confusion knitting her brows. Jake? Who is that? Emily didn't make a scene. She didn't scream or storm in like a woman hell-bent on ruining my life. No, she just stood there, watching me, her expression unreadable. I felt sick. Jake, Sarah repeated, her voice sharper this time. Who is that? I couldn't answer. I should have prepared for something like this. I knew my past wasn't as buried as I wanted it to be. I knew some ghosts don't stay dead, but I never expected this. Then Emily finally spoke, and her words shattered whatever fragile illusion of normalcy I had left. Jake, we need to talk. Now. I felt everything crack at once. The wedding, the future I'd built, the lies I'd told. I had spent years crafting a perfect story for Sarah, one where my past didn't exist. But the past wasn't just knocking on the door. It had walked in, and it had my eyes. Silence stretched between us like a live wire, humming with tension. My throat felt dry as sandpaper. Sarah turned to me, her eyes demanding an answer. Jake, is this true? Her voice wavered, but it was steady enough to feel like a punch to the gut. I opened my mouth, closed it. What the hell was I supposed to say? That, yes, I had lied about my past? That Emily wasn't just an ex, but a secret I had buried so deep I'd started believing it wasn't real? Emily exhaled, her gaze sharp. His name is Liam. He's 5. Do the math, Jake. 5. Jesus. My stomach twisted. My mind raced. 5 years ago, I was a different person. I drank too much, made reckless choices, and when things with Emily got too complicated, I ran. No notes, no goodbyes, just disappeared. Sarah took a step back. You told me you had no baggage. No exes worth mentioning. I swallowed hard. I didn't know. Bullshit, Emily snapped. You knew there was a chance. You just didn't care. The weight of every decision I had ever made pressed down on me. The guests inside murmured, the wedding hanging in limbo. Kevin shifted uncomfortably nearby, avoiding my eyes. Why now? I finally asked, my voice hoarse. Why today? Emily squared her shoulders. Because you don't get to keep running, Jake. You don't get to build a perfect life on a lie. Sarah's hands trembled. I need some air, she muttered before turning and walking away, her dress trailing behind her. I watched her go, my chest aching. My perfect life was unraveling, and I had no idea how to stop it. Emily looked at me. You need to decide what kind of man you're going to be. Because whether you like it or not, you have a son. And he deserves better than this. I glanced at Liam. His wide, unblinking eyes met mine. And for the first time in my life, I had no clue what to do. I stood frozen, watching Sarah disappear into the crowd. The weight in my chest grew heavier with every step she took away from me. I wanted to call out, to chase her, but my feet wouldn't move. Emily cleared her throat, pulling me back to the moment. You can go after her, she said, arms crossed. Or you can finally face what you've been running from. I turned to her, anger and confusion swirling in my head. Why now, Emily? You had 5 years to tell me. Why today? Her jaw clenched. Because I didn't know where you were. You ghosted me, Jake. Do you have any idea how hard it was to track you down? I only found out about this wedding a week ago. I ran a hand through my hair, exhaling sharply. And you just assumed dropping this on me now was the best option? In front of everyone? Emily didn't flinch. You don't get to be the victim here. I did what I had to do. Liam deserves to know his father. Liam. I forced myself to look down at the boy, standing silently beside Emily. His small hands gripped the fabric of her dress. His eyes, my eyes, stared at me with quiet uncertainty. My stomach twisted. "What do you want me to do?" I asked, my voice hollow. Emily sighed. "Be his father. Or at least acknowledge that he exists." I swallowed hard. The truth was, I had spent years convincing myself that my past didn't matter, that I could start over with Sarah, with a clean slate. But the past had a way of catching up, and now it was standing right in front of me, staring with wide brown eyes. I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Kevin." "Jake, man. You okay?" No, I wasn't." Emily looked at me, waiting. Liam clung to her side, waiting. And somewhere in the distance, Sarah was probably questioning everything about me. The life I had built was crumbling, and I had no idea if I had the strength to pick up the pieces. I stood there, paralyzed, as Emily's words echoed in my head. "Be his father. Or at least acknowledge that he exists." My pulse pounded in my ears. My whole life, every carefully constructed lie, was crumbling. I could feel Kevin's eyes on me, feel the weight of Liam's gaze, expectant, uncertain. But all I could focus on was Sarah. The woman I had promised forever to was gone, and I wasn't sure if she was ever coming back. Emily let out a slow breath. "I didn't come here to ruin your life, Jake. I came here because Liam deserves to know who he is. And whether you like it or not, you're part of that." "You should have told me sooner," I muttered, barely recognizing my own voice. "You should have never run away," she shot back. "But here we are." I glanced at Liam. His small fingers clutched at Emily's dress. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes, my eyes, were locked onto me, waiting, hoping. Kevin cleared his throat beside me. "Look, man, I don't know what the hell's going on, but you need to do something. You can't just stand here." He was right. I had two choices: run, like I always had, or finally face the mess I had made. Emily crossed her arms. "So, what's it gonna be, Jake? Are you going to step up, or are you going to walk away?" The answer should have been simple, but nothing about this moment was. I took a shaky breath and looked down at Liam. "Hey, buddy." His little face lifted slightly, his eyes studying me with quiet curiosity. I swallowed hard. "I don't know how to do this," I admitted. Emily's expression softened, just a little. "Then don't run. Start there." For the first time in years, I wasn't sure if running was even an option anymore. The wedding was over. The guests were gone. The church was empty except for the wreckage left behind. Discarded flower petals, half-melted candles, and me, standing there like an idiot, still trying to process what the hell had just happened. Sarah was gone. She didn't even text. Kevin had tried to talk to me, but I wasn't in the mood for advice or sympathy. Emily was still there, and so was Liam. I looked at them, standing in the doorway, waiting for something. A response. A decision. "You're still here," I muttered. Emily crossed her arms. "Yeah, we are." Liam clung to her hand, silent but watchful. I had no idea what to say to him, how to make up for 5 years of absence. "Sarah will come back," Kevin had said before he left. But I wasn't so sure. Emily took a step forward. "Jake, I know this is a lot, but you need to figure out what you're going to do. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now." I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "What do you expect me to say? That I'm suddenly a dad? That I can just flip a switch and be what he needs?" Emily's expression hardened. "No, but you can try." I looked down at Liam again. His fingers curled into Emily's dress, but he didn't look scared. Just waiting. I exhaled slowly. "Okay, let's talk." Emily nodded. "Good. Because we're not going anywhere." The air in the small cafe was thick with tension. I stirred my coffee, not really drinking it, just needing something to do with my hands. Across from me, Emily watched in silence, her expression unreadable. And next to her sat Liam, swinging his legs, tapping his fingers against the table. He was restless, but patient, more patient than I deserved. "So," I finally said, my voice rough, "where do we go from here?" Emily sighed, rubbing her temple. "That depends on you, Jake. No one's forcing you into anything. But if you're going to be in Liam's life, you need to mean it." He deserves more than half-assed effort. I swallowed hard. I don't know how to do this. Liam looked up at me, his eyes filled with something I couldn't quite place. Curiosity, maybe? Hesitation? Hope? You start by trying, Emily said simply. By being here. By not running. I exhaled. Running had been my default for so long. But as I sat there, looking at this kid, my kid, I felt something shift. Fear was still there, gripping tight. But beneath it, something else. A chance. Okay, I said finally, looking straight at Liam. I'm not going anywhere. Liam grinned, just a little. And for the first time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I was making the right choice. A week had passed since the wedding disaster, and my life still felt like it was hanging by a thread. I sat alone in my apartment, staring at my phone, scrolling through old photos of Sarah and me. She hadn't answered any of my calls, hadn't responded to my texts. Maybe she was gone for good. Then came the knock at the door. I hesitated before opening it, half hoping, half dreading who it could be. But it wasn't Sarah. It was Emily. And Liam. Can we come in? Emily asked, her voice unreadable. I stepped aside, letting them in. Liam walked in cautiously, his eyes wandering over the cluttered space. My place wasn't exactly kid-friendly. Empty beer bottles, pizza boxes, and a couch that had seen better days. I felt a sudden wave of embarrassment. Emily sat on the edge of the couch, looking at me with something close to exhaustion. I meant what I said, Jake. I'm not here to force you into anything, but I need to know what you're going to do. I ran a hand through my hair. I don't have an answer yet. Liam, who had been silent this whole time, finally spoke. Are you my dad? The question hit me like a punch to the gut. I looked at him, really looked at him. The resemblance was undeniable. The way he tilted his head when he was thinking, the way his brow furrowed in concentration. I had spent so much time trying to ignore my past, but it was staring at me now, waiting. I swallowed hard. Yeah, kid. I guess I am. Liam nodded like that was enough for him. But was it enough for me? Emily let out a breath. That's a start. I wasn't sure where we went from here, but one thing was clear. I had a choice to make. And for the first time, I wasn't running from it. The sun was setting as I sat across from Liam at a small diner on the edge of town. Emily had left us alone for a while, giving us space to talk, to figure things out. But what the hell was I supposed to say to a 5-year-old kid who barely knew me? Liam stirred his chocolate milk with a straw, deep in thought. Do you like dinosaurs? He finally asked. I blinked. Out of all the things I expected, that wasn't one of them. Yeah, sure. Dinosaurs are cool. He nodded like that was an acceptable answer. My favorite is a T-Rex. I smirked. Classic choice. You know they had tiny arms, right? Liam giggled. The sound hit me in a way I didn't expect. Something inside me cracked just a little, making room for something new, something terrifying. Emily came back, sliding into the booth across from me. How's it going? I exhaled. I have no idea what I'm doing. She gave me a tired smile. No parent does. You just figure it out as you go. Liam yawned, rubbing his eyes. I watched him, realizing for the first time that this wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't about my mistakes or my regrets. It was about him. Emily leaned forward. So, what now? I didn't have all the answers. Hell, I barely had one. But as I looked at Liam, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going anywhere. I met Emily's gaze. We start from here. She nodded, understanding more than I could say. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning.